get right into it with Chapter 14. Okay, here we go. Chapter 14, Experiencing Power Beyond Belief. And there I was. I heard him say, "Elena, your turn. Come up, now." I was so nervous, but then I assured myself that I shouldn't be. I really shouldn't be. This was all practice after all, and Jury was quite forgiving, and I would never learn if I didn't try. Besides, being behind Belinda in magic would be extremely humiliating. So I stepped up to where Belinda had been when she first pulled the rock to her, and I watched as Belinda went to the place where I was to be my audience. This time Aunt Jury handed me the rock. I knew why. I was pushing things away from me. He had me stand 5 feet away from the wall and told me to push it away from me, away from me, right up against the wall. And remember that I'm pushing it with my magic, not throwing it. I quickly, without any thought, let it zip into the exact place. It was quite simple. It wasn't like throwing at all. It didn't tire my arm out. All I had to do was think about where I wanted it to land and then let my magic do its work. Let it take me over and turn me into a machine. Then it just happened, and I followed its orders, and it followed mine. It was so simple, and I didn't really think about the steps I was doing. Noticing that I had done it correctly, he did the same as with Belinda, shouting out more and more feet to push it all the way up to 150 feet, all the way at the end of the room. The same things happened with me as they did with Belinda. Once I had slowly and gradually pushed the rock to the end, up against the wall, all the way across the room, just as Belinda had pulled it, I could truly tell that I should never have doubted myself 1 minute, for our strengths in magic are exactly the same. Ha 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 ha! Aunt Jury laughed, clapping and twirling in the air. You guys are extraordinary. Just at the right level for your age. Keep this up and you'll be better than me in a few years. Now that we know your limits, we will work to break them. The first step is mastering that same quick zip you had at close range at 150 feet. Because I know you're quite tired, Elena, and Belinda, you've gotten your rest. Belinda, please come up here and try the 150 feet again. But this time, even if you're so tired you want to fall down, I must tell you to get up. For this time, it's not the test, it's the practice. With that, Belinda got up with much pride and did not show one bit of nervousness. She was all confidence. And Jury set the rock back up against the wall for Belinda, starting her at 150 feet. The first time was just like the last, slow and steady and looking quite hard, but eventually getting to her hand, falling down to the ground. But then, remembering what Aunt Jury had said, Belinda got up bravely. She tried again and again and again, 5 more times, until it seemed the slightest bit easier for her. It was hard to see my sister work so hard and be so tired, never giving up. I was proud, worried for her, and nervous for when it was my turn. By the 6th time, it seemed to be a little bit faster. So far, it had been taking a full 30 seconds. This time, it was more like 15. She kept trying again and again. Soon, it was 10 seconds, then 5, and then only 2, so close to the perfect 1-second zip. She tried again, 2, again, and again, and again, and again. She tried 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, falling to her knees. I couldn't imagine how hard that would be. Finally, on the 7th try, getting just 2 seconds, she got the perfect zip whiz, falling completely to the ground and onto her back, smiling and cheering. I jumped up and down and did cartwheels all around the room. I was so excited for her, but also nervous in case I wasn't able to do the same, and wasn't able to gain more excitement than for Belinda reaching the goal. I knew that my turn was up next, but I wasn't going to get all scared about it this time. After all that had happened, it would be close to impossible for me to have not the same level as Belinda and not the same level as Belinda on this specific activity. I stood at the back of the room, 150 feet away, and Andrew gave me the rock, and I got ready to hook my magic onto it, zooming to the end of the room. I started as quickly as I could, falling to my knees every time. It was kind of painful, but I felt pride every time for just getting it all the way across the room. Everything happened precisely like it did for Belinda, and by the end I was so proud and tired, and from then on promised myself that I would never doubt my magic compared to Belinda's ever again. And Jerry was so happy. I'd never seen him do so many aerobatics in the air. Then suddenly he froze in mid-flight, mouth open, a terrible sign of worry across his face. "Oh no!" he said. "I must have gotten mixed up with another student." "You have another student?" Belinda asked. "Yes, I'll tell you about it some other time. And that means I accidentally started you at one level too low, and by your age, you were supposed to have already mastered pushing and pulling small things from all the way around the world. I didn't think I would have to do this to you so early in your training, but I think it's time for you to go into the special power-up ball." My jaw dropped from both frustration and excitement. I was frustrated that Andrew mixed things up, and now we had to rush and worry when we should be celebrating. But I was excited that while Andrew thought the power-up ball was too much for us this soon, I thought of it more as an extremely exciting privilege. With that, Belinda and I ran to the glowing ball across the room. "You first, Elena," Aunt Jerry said. I looked down at the floor, trying to find a way to get up, and found there was another pink pedestal I'd never noticed before standing beside the ball of teal light. I started to step on it, but then Aunt Jerry said, No, not just yet. I don't want you to get into the habit of just jumping onto things before you really know what you're doing and why. You will go into the ball. The ball will power you up with any skill that I choose. It's sort of a cheat way to learn, and we definitely don't want to do it very often, because the best way to learn to do magic is to learn it. The best way to do magic is to learn it. But if you're in a serious situation, it's a helpful tool to use." I was confused. We were in a serious situation? "And Jerry, are we in a serious situation?" "Yes, very much. I'll tell you in a couple of weeks." I was really not expecting that answer, but I decided to just go along with it. "Now, hop into the glowing ball, Elena. Don't worry. It won't hurt or feel like much. It won't hurt or feel like much. If anything, you'll feel the slightest tingle throughout your body." I went in. It gave me a shiver down my spine, but at the same time, it made me feel enlightened. I knew I was feeling both of these things at the same time. It was like the ball was showing me the balance of light and dark. I had never been inside a magic ball before, but now I knew that it was just like Belinda and I. Opposites joined together. Soon I heard Aunt Jury mumble words to the ball like it was talking to it. Words that I couldn't understand. They sounded like G, seeny, seeny, seeny. Suddenly, I felt my magic boom within me, more than it usually does. I felt more magic being put into my body. It was like warm and comforting, soft and powerful air being shot throughout every atom in my body. I slowly walked out of the ball onto the pink pedestal and stepped to the side. Belinda went in, I watched this as the same thing happened to her. I truly noticed how we were only in there for a few seconds, and yet we had been completely filled with more power. When she came out, Aunt Jury said, "Now, remember, you will not have to try hard to do this, but you will have to try. It will be sort of like you're redoing something you already mastered, but you won't have to think about a certain technique, because the technique is already unconsciously within you. Belinda first." Belinda walked up to the stand next to Aunt Jury. Belinda walked up to stand next to Aunt Jury. "Belinda, I would like you to find and pull one tiny raindrop from all the way around the world. Now, don't panic, because as long as you try it, it will happen." She nodded and put her hands out and ready to grab something. Then, suddenly, in the blink of an eye, a tiny raindrop was levitating between her hands, like it had been there forever. "Did I do it, Aunt Jury?" Belinda asked. "Oh, yes, you did. I can navigate exactly where that raindrop came from, and it surely was from all the way around the world. And you barely had to try. That's the power of the great teal ball. Your turn, Elena." I stood there with much pride, simply remembering what he said long ago. I was going to push one molecule halfway across the world. "Okay, you can do this, Elena. It just happened all of a sudden. It was so simple. My brain switched to activate, and with that, all of a sudden, nothing happened." "Aunt Jury, I'm so sorry. I don't know what went wrong." "Remember, you can't see molecules. You did bring a molecule from all the way across the world." I gasped. This power was incredible, amazing, and astonishing. And that's the end of the chapter. You can look forward to the next chapter tomorrow. Bye!